When the flat screen TV came out, it was luxury, but now if everybody can have it, it suddenly isn't luxury anymore. So in the luxury car, I think is involved where it used to be electric windows and leather seats, and now all cars almost have that. So I think the next step is other amenities, and it's also in terms of the design, the quality of the vehicle, the speed of the vehicle. And I think in the future, luxury could be that you have the latest technology in the vehicle, specifically like if you're talking about environmental technology. Well, I think everybody feels like getting pampered, and people feel like rewarding themselves for hard work. But I also think a vehicle, it's almost like our clothes. You are what you drive, and I think it's a big part of our personality, who we are and what we project to our fellow people around us in the type of car we drive. Are you a sporty type of person? Are you a family person? What type of person are you? And I think the vehicles we buy reflect that. I think at any point you pay more than $12,000 for a car, you're making maybe it's not even a conscious choice that you're actually buying something that you're beyond the basic need. It's just like once you go from drinking water and eating bread, you're already going beyond your basic need of just, satisfying your hunger. Well, I think in Europe, they're almost taking a little bit of a lead to a certain extent, and it's partly because we have very congested cities in Europe, like London, Milano, so they have individual taking decisions to not allow pollutive cars to even enter the city, or they have to pay a hefty fine. I think Europe generally is looking to lower the emissions drastically. It's something that seems more drastic to the US, because in US our fleet of vehicles, they're larger and more heavy vehicles, so it seems more difficult for us. However, I believe in the future with new type of drivetrains like plug-in hybrid, we're going to be able to do that even faster than they're able to do it in Europe. If you pay a lot for gas, you automatically look for a more fuel efficient vehicle, but I don't think it's the whole story of why Europeans drive smaller cars. I think another part of the story that we tend to forget is that Europe weren't built around cars, whereas America almost is. So everywhere in America the roads are big, the parking spaces are big. In Europe it's the opposite. We have small windy roads, small parking spaces, and therefore traditionally in Europe the cars were always smaller. I think in Europe you have much less straight roads, again because the infrastructure came after the houses were there and after small villages were there. So because of that, handling of European cars tend to be better when we talk about cornering and all this type of stuff. I also think that in Europe there's a different way of using the car in terms of, it's not so normal in Europe that the children get their own car. First of all, you can't get a driver's license before you're 18, and even after that, it's not normal they get their own car as quickly as here in the US. So therefore the household have fewer cars, which is why a lot of time the Europeans' main car really have to fit everybody in the car. But because it's used every day and the gas is high, it tends not necessarily to be a big SUV, but maybe a big station wagon or sedan. So there's some different ways of looking at it. But overall, when you look at, for instance, the design and a good-looking car is a good-looking car all over the world. BMW or Aston Martin sell just as many cars in Europe as they do in the US. There's no difference. Well, I think they're willing to pay for a lot of things. There's quality, it's the image, so people know that you have a good job and you can afford this car. It's everything coming with that. I think it's the excitement of having these features, the excitement of the power and the speed. It's the good feel about having something that other people don't. So I think there's a lot of things. A lot of times the new technology seems to come out in the expensive cars first because the technology is more expensive. So you're getting all the latest and the best in the premium cars that usually the lower end cars have to wait for. One example would be ABS brakes, anti-lock brakes, and those first were introduced in premium cars and later became available as even a cost option in cheap cars. Well, I think high-ends generally, it depends on what high-end car, but you're appealing to people who enjoy life and feel it's important to reward themselves. And I think when you move in, of course, then to suddenly a plug-in hybrid luxury vehicle, for instance, you're still appealing to those people, but now you're branching over and you start to appeal to some people who may before have not gone into a luxury car because they don't want to be part of maybe driving a vehicle that uses so much fuel and so much other energy to be made, etc. But when you then make a green car, you include them into this, as well as you get some current luxury buyers, which enjoys just having a nice car. Personally, I love a fast, beautiful car, but if it can be fast and beautiful and environmental correct, then you've kind of hit all three of the main points. We're building a plug-in hybrid luxury vehicle that will hit all those 3 points: have performance, having the good looks and the luxury, and being a green vehicle. Well, my inspiration was really to see some of the leading members of society, whether it was movie stars, singers, politicians, everybody sort of migrating towards green cars, and you really saw how people were buying the Toyota Prius, even very famous or rich people. And I was wondering, you know, how come we have American movie stars driving around the Japanese hybrid car? We have the best economy here in the US, we got the best technology, we got the best people. It should be possible for us to make a green vehicle that's better than that vehicle, and that's essentially what we're trying to do. I think one of the reasons is it's been very hard to start up a new company when you don't have something significantly different. That's one part of it, and we do. We have a significantly different drivetrain. We have a significantly different proportion to the vehicle, which is much better looking, much more dramatic. And then I think the past failures has a lot to do with the team that started these companies up. Most of them did not come from the car industry, so they didn't really understand how that industry worked. And I think the car is the most complicated product that you will ever buy in your life. There's more than 20,000 parts in the car. That's more than any product. It's even more, there's more different parts in a car than there is in a house. In a today modern luxury car, there's more electronics, there's more electric motors than what there was in the first rocket that was sent to the moon. Well, you have to design a complete new platform, because you have to house the batteries, you have to house a generator, you have to house a lot of elements that doesn't normally exist in the car. So that has to be different. That's the main part that has to be different. I think some people may not care about the price of the gasoline, but I think they care about the environment, and they care about being socially responsible. And I think they care about how they're viewed by people around them. And if you drive a socially responsible or environmental correct car, I think you're going to appear to be a much nicer and compassionate person, even if you have a lot of money, than if you drive one that's not. And I think this is how we appeal to people. It's not just about the price of the gasoline, it's about the image you project, it's about the stand you take towards the environment. I think that's what it's about. It's the fact that you are seeing for the first time a dramatic social change that's happening on all levels. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, it doesn't matter what political party you're part of, it doesn't matter if you're a movie star or you're an executive in a company. Everybody's joining up around the fact that we are going to live in this environment for a long time, our children with and their children with, and we're realizing we're getting to a point that if we want to keep on enjoying it, we have to do something about it, and we have to help. And I think people are more, it's a better incentive for people to help if they don't have to sacrifice so much. And I think we have come to a point in time where new products, environmental products, will show, like our Fisker automotive car, you don't have to sacrifice to help reducing emissions. We plan to eventually get up to 15,000 vehicles a year. So the first year about 100, then 7,500, and then 15,000 thereafter. The 15,000 vehicles will not make a difference as an overall, but they will make a difference because they will start a trend. They will start a trend showing this is possible, because right now every single automotive manufacturer or car company in the world saying it's not. So we will start a trend showing it is possible to drive completely without emission, without using fuel for the first 50 miles. Secondly, this is our first range of models, and we are planning to expand them. But I truly believe after we start this trend, you will see large car manufacturers coming out with their own vehicles in different segments. And obviously, to get to the 17 million, you have to get into the cheaper segments. Right now, this is a new technology, so we have to go into the higher segment. But it'll spread down, just like the color television did. When the first people, I remember on my street, the first person bought a color TV, well, everybody else in the street had black and white. But within a year, literally, everybody had a color TV. So new technology moves very fast.